Hello parents and students, it's Mr. White here. We're going to go real quick through 6.7 and 6.8. The reason we can do this quickly is because we've already done all of these, multiplication, division, two-step. It's just we haven't done it with inequalities. So we're going to see a little bit of difference when it gets to inequalities with multiplication and division, in particular when there are negative signs with the numbers we're dividing or multiplying by. But other than that, it's basically the same thing we've been doing. So here's what we already know, and this should be very encouraging because we're not adding on that much different. So as long as we understand what we did a couple lessons back, we should be all set. So when solving inequalities with addition or subtraction, that's what we did the lesson before this. You add or subtract the same number on both sides. So you do the inverse. The inequality sign does not flip, so we leave it the same, and then we graph it with open or closed circles. Let's get to 6.7. So solving with positive numbers, if you multiply or divide both sides by a positive number, the inequality symbol stays the same. So this is the inequality symbol here, and it's going to stay the same. So I always encourage you, and in class I did as well, that if we are doing this out on the board, we would do 3x, or on your paper, is greater than 12. If we see this is multiplication, we need to undo that through doing division. So we divide by 3. That will cross that out. Divide by 3. X is greater than 4. Sweet. Same thing with here. This we would multiply both sides by 6. Gets rid of that. Negative 5 times 6 will get us x is less than or equal to negative 30. So if we tried it out here, we see, just as in these examples, 4x is greater than 32. So I see 4 times x, 4x, that's multiplication. So we undo that with division. So that will get rid of that, gets x isolated. So x is greater than 32 divided by 4, which 32 divided by 4 is 8. So x is greater than 8. The next one here, we see it's y divided by 5. So that's a division. How do we undo that? We undo that with multiplication. So we need to multiply both sides by this number down here, which is 5. That'll get rid of that there. Then we have y isolated. Y is less than or equal to 9 times 5, which is 45. All right, great. But here's where the difference comes in, because this should be the same. It's just instead of an equal sign, we have an inequality sign. When we are multiplying or dividing by negative, though, the inequality symbol flips. So in this example, negative 2x is less than 10. First, we divide both sides by negative 2. So that'll get rid of that. And then we need to flip the sign. So instead of going this direction, we flip it around so it's headed in this direction. So x is now greater than negative 5. Same here, multiply both sides by negative 3 because this is division. So we undo it with multiplication. Gets rid of it there. Y would be greater than or equal to 4 times negative 3, but because it's multiplying by a negative number, we flip the sign. Y is less than or equal to negative 12. Maybe that's a little confusing. Let's try it out here so we get the practice. Negative 3x is less than 12. I need to divide by negative 3 on both sides. So that's same idea as up here, but this is a negative number. So yes, it still crosses that off, but before I can just say x is less than negative 4, I need to flip the sign. So x, instead of being less than, is greater than negative 4. And that's going to be my answer for that one. This one too, it's a division problem. How do we undo division? We undo division with the inverse operation, which would be multiplication. So I need to multiply both sides by negative 4 times negative 4. It's not y is greater than or equal to negative 2 times negative 4. We need to flip this around. So use the same exact one. I use the greater than or equal to, but I flip it so that it is y is less than or equal to 8. So that's basically that first lesson right there. Congratulations. So what I told people in class and what I would tell you is you need to be careful and beware of knowing, am I dividing by a positive number or a negative one? If we do negative, we need to flip the sign. I think that is going to be the most challenging thing for most students to remember, but that's just a rule you just have to memorize. So don't worry if it doesn't, come naturally to you, or you're like, I don't get why we do that. Sometimes you just have to memorize and be like, okay, this is the rule. If it is dividing or multiplying by a negative number, then that's what we have got to do. So let's get on to the next lesson, page 2. It's going to be two-step inequalities. Okay, so the exciting thing with this lesson too is we've already done two-step equations. Now we just have inequalities. So they look like what we've already done, two-step equations, but they're a little bit different when we get to flipping the sign if it's dividing or multiplying by a negative. So you undo the addition or subtraction first. Start with the number that's by itself. So like in this example, cover up that one, we have 5. It's all by itself. Let's get rid of this. Inverse would be subtracting 5 from both sides. All right, we have that there. That brings us to this new equation. Then we divide by 2 because we have 2n is less than or equal to negative 18. Divide by 2, we get n is less than or equal to negative 9. Then let's graph this because we will need to be knowing how to do that. So we have, I like to just put negative 9 in the middle. And this will be suitable for our problems on assessments when it comes to that, so that you're not having to draw these intricate graphs. But let's see, n is less than or equal to negative 9. So that means it's going to be a closed dot, closed circle. And then it's less than is smaller than. So we're going to be going to the left if it is anything smaller than. All right, in this one, we do the same thing. So we add 7 to both sides. That gets us to negative 3x is greater than 12. Then we divide by negative 3, but look, it's a negative 3, so we need to flip the sign from being that x would be greater to x is less than negative 4. And I'm going to skip the graphing there, but I will do it right here so we can see it in the way of saving time as we go. So first thing I see when I see this, let's cover up the 3x and just see the plus 4. I want to get rid of the plus 4. How do we do that? We minus 4. So yay, we have 3x by itself, but what we do to this side, we need to do here. So let's subtract 4, that will get 15. I always think then you should go ahead and rewrite it. So 3x is less than 15. Then from there, we divide by 3. That'll get rid of it on that side. Divide by 3 here, that will be 5. So x is less than 5. If we were to graph that, it's not a very good arrow. Ooh, there we go. Let's put 5 in the middle, 6 and 4. X is less than 5. It's just less than, it's not equal to, so we just leave it as an open circle. And there we have it right there. And then this one, let's see. So this can trip up some people, or trick them, because we're used to seeing everything like this. But don't worry, this is the same thing. If it doesn't have a negative, it's assumed it's positive. So if it's a positive, how do we undo like a plus 4, a positive 4? We subtract. So I just need to subtract 5 to get rid of it there. Let's subtract 5 on this side as well. Negative 1 minus 5, those are 2 negatives, so we just add them together and keep the negative sign, so it would be negative 6. Let's rewrite this as negative 2n. See how I kept the subtraction sign, the negative sign, I keep that with it there, is greater than or equal to negative 6. Now I need to, we're up here, undo the multiplication or division second. So that's why these are all like one step in itself, but we put them together so it's 2 steps. So our first step, get rid of that. Second step, let's rewrite it, and now let's undo that. So we are dividing by negative 2, which means I need to flip this sign to be going the other direction. So n is less than or equal to 3, right? Negative 2 times 3 equals negative 6. Yep. And then let us go and graph this as well. We'll put 3 in the middle, 4 and 2. We want to close the dot because it's less than or equal to, and less than, n is smaller, it's less than 3. So we go to the left if we are getting smaller in what we're doing. All right, and that will be the lesson for that. So it's quick because this is already stuff we have learned, but we just need to remember, flip the sign if we're dividing or multiplying by a negative. That's the main thing. But let's get to some of the practice problems so we can go throughout this. Okay, I listed these out with don't need to flip, you need to flip, just to try to help us out, because sometimes when we're learning something new, it can be tricky, but on the rest of our assessments or anything else upcoming, it's not going to have this. It's something you need to memorize. But knowing that, okay, so why we won't be dividing or multiplying by negative numbers, but keep an eye out. So just because we know we don't have to do that, we should still be understanding like what are we doing and why are we doing it. So 7m, that's multiplication. I can undo that by dividing each side by 7. That'll cross that side out. And then I'm left with m is greater than or equal to -3. How fun. This may seem confusing because guess what? We have it on this side rather than that side. But just remember, we do the same things. We want k by itself. So we divide by 2 to get rid of the 2 in front of it. And we divide by 2. So we have -4 is less than k. Another way of saying that is k is greater than -4. But to keep it simple, we can just keep it like this. Keep things where they are, and you should be good to go. All right, for this one, it is division, a division problem. So how do we undo division? We undo that with multiplication. So that will cross that out. Z is greater than -12. All right, this one, we have 9 plus t is less than 25. So what we can do, yet again, because this is a different format than we're used to, but this is a +9. So how do we get rid of +9? We put a -9. That will get it to 0, taking it away from that side. But then what we do to this side, we must do over here. That would get us 16. So t is less than 16. Hooray! Okay, this side, we just need to move it over. How do we do that? We add 12. So it's -12, so we do the inverse of +12. Get rid of that, add it to this side. We have c is greater than or equal to 17. Last one for this section. See, look, it's on this side too, but don't worry, it's a two-step. Do the same thing we have been doing. Let's subtract 6 from both sides because that's the first thing we do in a two-step equation or inequality. Apologies, these are inequality signs. So we -6 from this side as well. That will get us 12. So 12 is greater than 3n. We need n by itself. How do we do that? We undo it with division. So now we have 4 is greater than n. You could also say n is less than 4, but for this, just keep it like that and you will be good to go. All right, now we need to flip the sign. Why? Because we're dividing or multiplying by negative numbers. So look out for this. Beware. I cannot say that enough times. You need to make sure you're really paying attention to negative signs. All right, -2z is greater than or equal to 18. Let's divide by -2. Divide by -2. Because I did that though, I need to flip the sign. So z is not greater than or equal to, it's less than or equal to -9. For this one, it's division. So I need to undo that with multiplication. Times -3 on both sides. That will get rid of it over here. It's not w is less than because I multiplied by a -3. I need to flip it. W is greater than 7 times -3, which is -21. For this one, ooh, it's looking a bit messy, but don't worry. It's -5. We undo that with +5. So same thing, use the inverse. +5, that will get us 6. So now this turns into -2k is less than or equal to 6. Let's divide by -2 to get it out of the k. But if we do that, then we need to flip the sign. So k is not less than or equal to, it's greater than or equal to -3. For this one here, let's do the addition subtraction first. So we're adding 4 to take it off from that side. So we now have -7m is greater than 7. Now we need to divide each side by -7, divide by -7, and we need to flip the sign. So I'm going to write it over here. M is not greater than, it will be less than -1. Hopefully we're starting to see some patterns and that like what we're doing is not new. So I think that's always very encouraging. We're just adding on a few like another step, a few more little things. And I still encourage you to go ahead and just rewrite everything to keep it nice and neat as we're going. So we're dividing by -5. We have p. We flip the sign. It's less than or equal to 3. But the more you can write, the more it will help you out as someone who's doing math, but it will also help me out as I'm grading and trying to figure out, say you didn't get to the right answer, where did you go wrong? Like, where do we maybe need to spend more time in class or maybe one-on-one? I can let you know, like, oh, you almost got there, but it's because you didn't rewrite it. You forgot to divide each side by 4, and so you didn't get to the right answer. But if I see this, I'm like, okay, you did that, but maybe you said it was 2 rather than 4. Then it was just a simple arithmetic error, not that you don't understand the whole process. So here we're dividing by the negative, so we need to flip it that way. Q looks like a 9, -4. All right, last section here for this whole lesson even. In the practice, hopefully we didn't get through all of this, or maybe we did, depending on when you're seeing this. But my first year of teaching, we did not get through all of it, but I suggest you go through each of these and make sure you understand how to do it. Two-step inequalities, though, for section C, beware. Look to see if you're dividing or multiplying by a negative number. If so, you must flip the inequality sign. Solve and graph it. So this, we need to do 2 things. So let's try and get at that. So we want to do the addition or subtraction first. We subtract 6 from both sides. That will get me 4p is greater than 6. Divide by 4. P is greater than 6 over 4. So that is not going to be a clean whole number, but we can reduce this. So 2 can go into both. So 3 over 2, which equals 1.5. So we probably won't have a ton like this, but let's put p is greater than 1.5. So that's part of my answer. And then we still need to graph it. So we'll put 1.5 here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 0. So it's greater than 1.5. So we do an empty circle there. And then it's greater than, it's bigger than. So we're going to the right. So that would be the second part of the answer there. This one here, it's flipped, but don't worry, same steps. Get rid of the number all by itself first. So we minus 4 because that's a positive 4. Minus 4 would be 5. So let's rewrite this as 5 is less than or equal to 5r. Divide each side by 5 to get rid of it on this side. So r is by itself. So 1 is less than or equal to r. Another way, so why this might get a little bit tricky for this one is that, you know, like, okay, let's go ahead and graph this, but then you're like, wait, 1 is less than r. We're used to seeing it like this with the variable on the left side. Well, in order to get it on that side, you just have to flip the sign. So this is the same thing, and I just mentioned it like a few minutes ago as saying r is greater than 1. 1 is less than or equal to r is the same thing as r is greater than or equal to 1. Think about that, say it out loud a couple times, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, I guess that's true. Like 1 is less than r, which means that r is bigger than 1. But if we're used to doing it this way, this would be the easiest way. It's just switch spots and change the sign. R is greater than or equal to 1. So we put a closed dot on 1, and if we're getting bigger, it's greater than, we're going to the right. Carrying on, we have 8 minus 3k. Let's subtract 8 to get it off on this side. That will get us -9. I'll rewrite that for us. So -3k is less than -9. I need to divide by -3. Uh-oh, -3. Do you hear what I'm saying? -3. So that means we need to flip this sign. So instead of being less than, it becomes greater than 3. So that's part of my answer. I don't think I circled these ones over here. And then I need to graph it. So let's put 3, 4, 2. It's just greater than, so it's an open circle. If we're getting bigger, we go to the right. So that will be the second part of the answer there. Last one for this video and this page, it's -5, so we undo that by doing +5 to both sides. 17, -17 plus 5, or 17 minus 5 would be -12. So to rewrite that as 2s is less than or equal to -12. Let's divide both sides by -2 to get rid of it with the variable. But if we're dividing by a -2, that is negative. So we need to flip the sign. So instead of being less than or equal to, it's now s is greater than or equal to -12 divided by -2, which should be 6. Second part, let's go ahead and graph this. We need a closed circle, and it's saying s is greater than or equal to 6. S is bigger than, so we go to the right as well. Okay, so there we have it. I think this probably still took quite some time in the video, but hopefully I think it was pretty fast, but I'm going fast as I mentioned because we've already done all of this, but hopefully this is also a good review. So maybe you think it's a little bit tricky, it's a little bit challenging. Maybe that's so, but the reason we have this packet with all these extra problems and why you do the homework is so that you get the chance to practice it. So my hope is that as you finish this, you will see like, oh, it's the same thing we just learned in 6.2 and 6.3, 6.4, but now we have inequality signs. So instead of equal signs that come with equations, we just have these signs, and there's a few rules, right, where we flip it if it is a negative, but overall, there's nothing to worry about. You've got this. Just remember what we've been doing and just practice, 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 and you will be good to go and feeling more and more confident as you keep on going.